A voiceover. Hello, dear viewers, and welcome to our storytelling journey. Today we delve into the pages of a timeless tale, a story that has been told and retold throughout the ages, passed down from generation to generation. A tale that speaks of love, of courage, and of the indomitable human spirit. Our story begins in an enchanted land, a realm of magic and mystery where miracles are as common as the morning dew. It is here that we find our beautiful maiden, a young girl named Rapunzel. Known far and wide for her radiant beauty and her hair of spun gold, Rapunzel's tale is one that intertwines the darkest of sorrows with the brightest of joys. Imprisoned in a lonely tower by a vain and power-hungry witch, Rapunzel's world is one of solitude and longing, but every story has a ray of hope, a beacon that pierces through the gloom, and for Rapunzel that beacon is a prince who visits her under the cloak of night, who shares tales of adventure and grandeur, and who in doing so paints a picture of a world beyond her tower's confining walls. So sit back, relax, and let us embark on this enchanting journey together. Let us turn the pages of time and enter the world of Rapunzel. As we begin, we find our heroine in her tower, her golden hair glowing in the rare sunlight that filters through her solitary window. There was a young girl named Rapunzel, a beauty of unparalleled charm. Her hair, long and golden, shone like spun gold, gleaming with an ethereal glow whenever the rare sunlight managed to touch it. Her eyes were like two sparkling stars, mesmerizing and radiant, holding within them a universe of dreams and innocence. Her smile, a beacon of hope and joy, had the power to illuminate the darkest of rooms, promising a warmth that was absent in her isolated world. Rapunzel spent her days in an isolated tower, locked away by a witch who yearned for youth and power. But at the end of the day, when they began to set, Rapunzel was visited by a prince who had been enchanted by her angelic voice. Ever he would come, and Rapunzel would let down her golden hair for him to climb. Their conversations would circle around tales of adventurous knights, magical creatures, and grand kingdoms, painting a vibrant picture of the world beyond Rapunzel's lonely tower. The prince, with his brave tales and kind heart, became Rapunzel's beacon of hope, and promising a warmth that was absent in her isolated world. The witch, on the other hand, was a being who thrived on vanity and power. She kept the beautiful Rapunzel locked up into the tower, not out of any maternal affection, but to take advantage of the young girl's enchantingly lustrous golden hair. This hair was not ordinary. It had a magical ability to reverse aging, a quality that the witch exploited to the fullest. Every day she would command, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair," using it as a ladder to ascend the tower, the lustrous strands glistening as they uncoiled. The witch's visits were the only human interaction that Rapunzel, with her sparkling eyes and enchanting smile, had. However, far from being in fact, they only reminded captive state and amplified but the prince's visits. Under the cloak of night story, they brought Rapunzel laughter, companionship, and a sense of freedom which she yearned all day. While Rapunzel was always frightened at the thought of the flax the witch provided, she knew that she would be unable to finish it, even were to, for 300 years, dedicating each from dawn to dusk to the task. This fear, coupled with her deep-seated loneliness and longing for freedom, would often lead to tears. However, the growing affection for her, the way he listened to her dreams and fears, her heart, and gave her the strength to carry on. Story, woven in moonlit whispers and in shared laughter, was a shining beacon of hope amidst her desolate circumstances. One day, a strikingly handsome prince with deep, captivating eyes of azure passed by the tower. His tall, gallant figure was elegantly astride his steed. As he rode through the forest, his wavy auburn locks danced with the soft caress of the wind. His eyes, reflecting the wisdom of the ages, were alight with tales of grandeur and bravery. The wind delicately carried a beautiful melody to his ears. It was a voice so enchanting, so pure, that he was transfixed. This prince, renowned for his charming personality and kind heart, found himself bewitched by the melody. It was Rapunzel's voice, a sweet song that echoed through the isolated tower, permeating the forest and reaching the prince's ears. Each note felt like an unseen string tugging at his heart, an ethereal enchantress calling out to his soul. He was captivated not only by the melodious voice but by the spirit it carried. resilient, hopeful, mesmerizing. Intrigued by the captivating voice, the prince, with his inherent curiosity and courageous spirit, decided to trace the source. His gaze landed on the towering structure standing tall amidst the dense trees. He approached the tower, his heart pounding with excitement, curiosity, and a budding admiration for the unseen songstress. He circled the tower multiple times, his eyes like twin sapphires, scanning every inch of the stone structure, trying to find some sort of entrance. But to his dismay, there was none. The tower seemed, its stone walls devoid of any doors or stairways. A wave of despair washed over him. How was he to reach the owner of the beautiful voice? The voice he was rapidly falling in love with? The voice that had touched the deepest corners of his heart. Just as he was on the verge of leaving, he saw the witch approaching the tower. He quickly hid behind a tree, observing the witch's actions. He watched as the witch called out, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair," and saw a cascade of golden hair fall from the tower's window. The witch climbed up the hair, disappearing into the tower. The prince watched in awe, the secret of ascending the tower now etched in his mind. His heart, as brave and gallant as him, filled with determination. He was not just intent on rescuing Rapunzel, but on meeting the resilient spirit behind the voice he had fallen in love with. As the sun set and the forest was bathed in the soft glow of the moonlight, the prince, a picture of noble charm and unwavering resolution, retreated, vowing to return the next day. As dawn broke and sunlight pierced the morning mist, the prince found himself drawn back to the tower. His pulse quickened as he called, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." A golden waterfall descended invitingly, and taking a deep breath, he began to climb. Upon reaching the top, he was greeted by a vision of beauty that surpassed even the enchantment of her voice. Rapunzel, startled by the unexpected visitor, was initially fearful, yet the prince's gentle disposition and soothing words soon melted her apprehension. He painted vivid pictures of the world beyond her tower, the vibrant hues of the setting sun, the soft rustling of the forest leaves, the muted hum of bustling towns. Rapunzel, confined her whole life to the tower, found herself captivated not just by his stories, but also by the storyteller himself. His tales ignited a spark in her heart, and she found herself drawn to the prince, his warmth, and his gentle spirit. Seeing her longing for freedom mirrored his own, the prince proposed a daring plan. "We will break free from this tower," he vowed, "and you will witness the world you've only imagined in dreams." The plan was audacious, yet simple. They would transform Rapunzel's magical hair into a rope, facilitating their descent from the tower and escape into the night. Rapunzel, now illuminated by hope and the budding love for the prince, agreed. As they waited for darkness to cloak their escape, the tower, once a cage, now seemed a launch pad for her journey towards a new life. As day surrendered to night, Rapunzel and the prince steadied their hearts, a whirlpool of fear, exhilaration, and anticipation swirling within them as they readied for their daring adventure. As the sun began to set, the prince and Rapunzel were about to embark on their daring escape plan. But unbeknownst to them, the witch who had kept Rapunzel captive all these years had been watching from the shadows. Overcome with rage and a sense of betrayal, she decided to punish them both. With a thunderous roar, she revealed herself. "You ungrateful child!" she bellowed, her voice echoing throughout the tower. Looking at the prince, who was still holding onto the makeshift rope, she pointed her gnarled finger at him. "And you, a sniveling prince, daring to steal away my precious Rapunzel?" With these words, she began to chant in a language long forgotten. The air around them grew cold, and a blinding light enveloped the prince. When the light subsided, where once stood the brave prince was now a small, green frog. Rapunzel screamed, rushing towards the prince, but the witch wasn't done. Turning her wrath onto Rapunzel, she cast another curse. "Your golden hair, the object of this man's desire, shall lose its shine." And just as she said, Rapunzel's beautiful golden hair turned a dull, lifeless brown. The witch's laughter echoed through the tower as she vanished, leaving Rapunzel and the prince turned frog in despair. With the prince now a frog and Rapunzel's hair no longer magical, their escape plan seemed impossible. But they were not ready to give up. Not when they had come so far. A few years later, it happened that a king's son was riding through the forest. As he approached the tower, he heard a song so beautiful that he stopped to listen. It was Rapunzel who was passing the time by singing with her sweet voice. The prince wanted to climb up to her and look for a door in the tower, but none was to be found. He rode home, but the song had so touched his heart that he returned to the forest every day and listened to it. One time, as he was thus standing behind a tree, he saw the sorceress approach and heard her say, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." Then Rapunzel let down her strands of hair, and the sorceress climbed up them to her. "If that is the ladder into the tower, then sometime I will try my luck." And the next day, just as it was beginning to get dark, he went to the tower and called out, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." The hair fell down, and the prince climbed up. At first, Rapunzel was terribly frightened when a man such as she had never seen before came into her. However, the prince began talking to her in a very friendly manner, telling her that his heart had been so touched by her singing that he could have no peace until he had seen her in person. Then Rapunzel lost her fear, and when he asked her if she would take him as her husband, she thought, "He would rather have me than would old Frau Gothel." She said yes and placed her hand into his. She said, "I would go with you gladly, but I do not know how to get down. Every time that you come, bring a strand of silk from which I will weave a ladder. When it is finished, I will climb down and you can take me away on your horse." They arranged that he would come to her every evening, for the old woman came by day. The sorceress did not notice what was happening until one day Rapunzel said to her, "Frau Gothel, tell me why it is that you are more difficult to pull up than is the young prince who will be arriving any moment now." "You godless child!" cried the sorceress. "What am I hearing from you? I thought I had removed you from the whole world, but you have deceived me nonetheless." In her anger, she grabbed Rapunzel's beautiful hair, wrapped it a few times around her left hand, grasped a pair of scissors with her right hand, and snip-snap, cut it off. And she was so unmerciful that she took Rapunzel into a wilderness where she suffered greatly. On the evening of the same day that she sent Rapunzel away, the sorceress tied the cut-off hair to the hook at the top of the tower, and when the prince called out, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair," she let down the hair. The prince climbed up, but above, instead of his beloved Rapunzel, he found the sorceress, who peered at him with poisonous and evil looks. "Aha!" she cried scornfully. "You have come for your mistress, darling, but that beautiful bird is no longer sitting in her nest, nor is she singing anymore. The cat got her and will scratch your eyes out as well. You have lost Rapunzel, you will never see her again." The prince was overcome with grief, and in his despair he threw himself from the tower. He escaped with his life, but the thorns into which he fell poked out his eyes. Blind, he wandered about in the forest, eating nothing but grass and roots, and doing nothing but weeping and wailing over the loss of his beloved wife. Thus he wandered about miserably for some years, finally happening into the wilderness where Rapunzel lived miserably with the twins that she had given birth to. He heard a voice and thought it was familiar. He advanced toward it, and as he approached, Rapunzel recognized him and, crying, threw her arms around his neck. 2 of her tears fell into his eyes, and they became clear once again, and he could see as well as before. He led her into his kingdom, where he was received with joy, and for a long time they lived happily and satisfied. And so, dear viewers, we come to the end of our tale, a tale of love, courage, and determination. A tale of a prince who, blinded by his grief, wandered the wilderness for years, and a maiden, Rapunzel, who lived miserably with her twins, banished from her tower. Both faced hardships, both faced despair, but they never gave up. They fought, they struggled, and they survived. In their journey, they teach us a valuable lesson. In life, we may face many challenges. We may encounter heartbreak, loss, and despair. We may feel as if we're wandering in a dark forest, blinded by our grief. But remember, dear viewers, with courage and determination, we can overcome these challenges. We can find our way out of the forest, we can regain our sight, and we can find our way back to those we love. The story of Rapunzel and the prince is not just a fairy tale. It's a lesson about life. It's a reminder that no tower is too high, no curse too powerful, when you have the courage to fight for your freedom. So remember, dear viewers, when life feels like a towering castle, when your troubles feel like a wicked witch's curse, do not despair. For with courage, with determination, and with love, there is no obstacle you cannot overcome. As we turn the final page of our tale for tonight, dear viewers, we hope you take away more than just a story. We hope you take away a piece of wisdom, a spark of courage, a glimmer of hope. We hope you know that your dreams are never too far, your hopes never too high, and your courage never too small. So as you lay your head down tonight, remember Rapunzel and the prince. Remember their courage, their determination, their love. Let their story inspire you to dream big, to fight hard, and to never lose hope. And as you drift off to sleep, let their tale accompany you to the land of dreams, where towers are climbed, witches are defeated, and love always wins. Good night, dear viewers. May your dreams be filled with courage, hope, and fairy tales.